you know? But this isn't helpful because those voices are going to continue to gnaw at us. They are going to continue to want to get our attention until we can understand what it is that they want and reconcile with that desire to feel good. And what Pema Chodron encourages, and it's 100% in alignment with Science of Mind, is that we should learn to face the committee, to face our fears. Because when we face our fears, we'll realize that God in us, love in us, joy and light in us is greater than any fear that we are faced with right now. If we take time to listen, to observe what the harsh voices are saying, what the concern is, allow those voices to be heard, we can see what's valid. We can start to see, okay, I understand this is what you're wanting, but you know, this idea that you are never going to amount to anything, I don't know that that's really a valid belief. I need to examine that. And we can start doing our work to readjust that thinking into something more constructive. I had a really, really great mentor that showed me how we would want, ideally, to deal with our inner committee. As many of you know, in my past corporate job, I had a lot of wonderful experiences. And in the last 10 years, I was under a vice president who oversaw our organization out in El Segundo. And this was like this real tough, crotchety ex-Marine with a heart of gold, an absolute heart of gold. And when we all got together as a team, when we had been downsized to a group of about 100 from 1,000, those of us who were left, we were given a project to develop a new product, and my department was going to support it. And so this man brought together all the software developers. Now, I had never been in meetings like this, where he would allow the different people who had ideas about what the product should do and how to go about it and everything. I mean, they absolutely were passionate, and it was like, no, that's a stupid idea. We have to do it this way. And I mean, the voices got very heated. It got really uncomfortable in the room. And Reverend Marc LaPonce, who was at the time learning to be a minister, studying, was like, oh, wait a minute, can't we all just get along? And this is uncomfortable. I just want to leave the room. Let me just doodle in my notebook here and ignore this. God is the love that I am. God is the love. But over time, I got to observe how this VP would allow these people to say what they had to say. And the one rule was they could say things like, that's a stupid idea. They just couldn't actually call anyone stupid. They couldn't insult each other. As long as they played by those rules, he allowed them to voice their concerns. And then he masterfully ensured that each one got heard. I hear your point of view. I know what you're saying here, and I hear what you're saying over here. Now, based on those two things, I think that this might be the best thing. He reminded everyone that we were all there to do the same thing, to come up with a product that would be successful. But once the voices were heard, then people felt respected and felt like they could align with a higher vision. And I commented on that to him and said, you really do well with people being so heated in a meeting like that. And he said, if I told people to all be nice and pleasant and everything, I think I would stifle some of those voices. And sometimes they have important things to offer. So he said, I want to hear it. And when it gets out of control, I take care of it. But for the most part, once you hear people and they feel acknowledged, then they're more willing to work together. And I really realized that he's a living example of something that lives inside of me, that I could call forward. It's something that lives inside each and every one of us. Now, how can we activate and develop that part of ourselves? And I tell you, the first step is simply to become aware, to just be mindful of the inner dialogue of the committee. And the only tool I know of to develop that is meditation. I know in meditation we have this idea that if we meditate, we are always going to feel peaceful and blissful. And yes, there are times that in meditation, when your mind gets still, you can feel that bliss and feel that connection. But it's not always going to be the case. But if you can sit there and observe your thoughts, the voices, just watching them, listening to them, realigns us with our power. Because if we can watch and observe them, there's suddenly a realization there's something in us that isn't the voice. There's something in us that's greater than that. And when we notice the committee members being harsh, critical, hysterical, we can just look deeper to see what is the underlying desire. What is the God essence that these voices are wanting to experience and express more?